Yeah, but you're...
I'd like to call a meeting to order. This is the Real Property Tax Services. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting. Not all at once. Ron, thank you. Claudia, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Claudia.
Aye.
You're up, Alexa.
All right. So the first thing on there is a resolution request to, refund the taxes on a parcel in Lake George. It was a court-ordered. They lowered the assessed value from $1,781,500 down to $1,003,000. We don't really have a choice. It's a court order.
Right, is that the Clinton?
It's the, Stonegate Clinton
Stonegate,
and
yeah.
Partners.
Okay. Yeah, we were involved with that, as
Yep.
well as the school.
Yes.
Yep.
So it was for 14, 15, and 16.
Okay.
So-
Any motion on that, Ron? Claudia? Did you have something?
I do. Did we think about appealing? Yeah, but this wasn't done through us, would have been done through the town, would have dealt with it.
Well, that ended up being the school, but...
Was it the school?
Yeah.
And, I don't think the county ever appeals on my knowledge.
Was it a settlement or was it actually
I don't ever see these, they go through to the treasurer's office, but it's definitely a court order.
He, had several parcels and felt one of them was overassessed. We had an agreement with him right away. We settled it with the school, dug it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Total $2,700.
Yeah.
That we refund
Yeah,
them.
it is.
For each what's here is 3 years, so there's
Okay.
3 figures, we give them that total 3
They probably
figures.
had one of those
And we charge back to the town, of course, and to the fire to get that money back. The county, of course, pays their portion, but everybody pays their portion, that's just the total figures.
Any questions? You good, Craig?
Good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
Okay, I have on here under, 5, the information for discussion. I was hoping to have had, reports from Ecosystems on Warrensburg and Johnsburg, parcels, but they were not able to get them to me this week. There was a few different issues. I know Johnsburg, they were just getting stuff back at the end of last week. So I do have some verbal notes to discuss with you guys. Warrensburg parcel at the 4 Horicon Ave, the ground penetrating radar survey showed there was no evidence of buried tanks at that parcel, which is a good thing. The test pit excavating, found no evidence of petroleum, and the labs came back clean. Everything so far on both of the parcels was very positive. The one thing they did say about Warrensburg is there's 5 floor drains in the building. They did dye testing on all of them, and that showed that they're not connected to the sewer system in Warrensburg. And they are going to make a recommendation in the report to us, and I'm sure there'll be other information for me to review when I finally get that, but the recommendation would be to do borings through the floor in the building to check to see if there's contaminants below the building, because there is these drains under the building, but nobody knows where they're going. So they're thinking that they're just going down into the ground under the building, but that's why they want to do the borings and to be able to check further on those. So that will be one of their recommendations. That's all they really gave me on the Warrensburg parcel.
What was that building?
It was part of
Fuel oil.
B&B Oil, and then they built this garage there where they just worked on vehicles in.
Yep.
So, there's floor drains, and they may have, I don't know if there's tanks under them or what they did, because
Yeah.
nobody seems to know
No telling.
what happened way back then.
I assume they couldn't pull the covers off them.
Well, no, there was, but the thing of it is they're just holes like this big. So there was no way, I mean, they did the dye test just to make sure that it wasn't connected to Warrensburg sewer system. Right, and it's not, but they have no way of knowing or testing, so they wanted to bore down through, and if they have to, they would go all the way through to see what's in and get samples underneath. to see if that's contaminated
Did they
under
give
the
us
building.
a price for that?
No, because I just got verbal information, so I don't have a full report from them yet.
But I tell you, Dennis, that building will sell quick.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice
There's
location.
people interested in it.
So, then the Johnsburg parcel on Route 8, the old Mosier garage, they did groundwater samplings, which they received back like at the end of last week. The man I spoke to said, you know, he just kinda did a quick look on things. They haven't really had time to go over all their data that they've gathered. But he says from a quick look, it doesn't look like there's any significant problems there. The soil samples looked clean. However, they were unable to do one of the borings they wanted to do in the front part of the building inside. They just couldn't get their equipment in there to be able to do a boring, because there's some offices there, but they actually, we were there the day they were there, and, I mean, they went inside the building, and, which was almost kind of scary, because I did walk in the building, but the whole back, the roof is really bad, like, it could come down any time. But they did go in there with their equipment and do, penetrations through there, the borings, and took samples there, as well as they did the stuff outside, and they put the wells in out there, and they, like I said, just received those groundwater samples back, or the results back, last week. So, I don't
Everything was
have
good.
that information on the groundwater samples yet. I do wanna point out, please remember though, there was lots of tires strewn there, and when I was there, you know, they're growing up over them, but there is big mounds out back of the tires, so, and they do still have the tanks that are, buried on the premises, that are still in the ground, so that type of stuff would have to be removed, and so I won't know everything until I get the full reports,
Okay,
so that's all I really have on those two to share with you.
anybody, Ron?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would, I kinda got a sense of where you're going with that, and I would agree, since we're under contract to do the environmental exploration, if it wasn't part of the, investigation, you know, just, I hate to think we gotta go back and go through all this timeline again because we wanna do some drillings. I would look for a change in the scope of service and have those borings done. I'd get a price first.
Right.
And then run the flagpole, see who salutes, but that way when we go to make, our move to, if the move is to, put it back on the tax rolls by selling it or giving it to the town or however we're gonna handle it, it's a clean move. There isn't any specter of contamination, because we're gonna have a report that's gonna say, well, it's all clear, but, well, let's get that
Right.
but, let's deal with the but. We may not like what we hear, but better we know now.
Good point.
I can speak to, Richard and ask him when he gives me the reports, if he could maybe give me price quotes for any other recommendations, if he could include that in the reports that they give to me,
That'd be great.
if that would help.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, you might be dealing with a nominal,
Right.
depending on how deep they have to drill, you might be dealing with a nominal expense here, so I would like to even authorize, Leslie, in concert with the county administrator, within certain parameters to do what they need to do to get it done.
And I think the whole purpose of using this sale money was to be good stewards of those properties, and if they needed minor, which I would consider minor cleanup, is the right thing to do for us as a county.
I'm in agreement, however, we have to bear in mind that we need a price quote first, because we have to transfer funds
Yeah.
from the testing, the reserve testing fund, to
Right.
my budget
no,
to
I'm
be able to move forward
No,
with
I'm
that.
fully aware of that, but what I'm saying is, we don't know at this stage whether we're dealing with $500 or $50,000, but if it's $500,
Right.
let's get it done.
Okay.
Do you wanna make that as a motion, Ron, to expedite this, including the transfer of money?
Yeah, I would, I'd like to see this wrapped up so that
Yeah, me
we
too.
can do what it is we
Kinda
set out to
drag it
do,
out
which
here.
is to move this along to the next owner.
So,
So I would make that as a motion that Leslie be authorized to, talk to the consultants that are presently on site. They're presently familiar preparing this report. How much would it cost to, complete this? And I say per the judgment of the county administrator, if it's really a nominal expense, let's get it done.
Second? Ron? Any further discussion on that issue? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Did you have a question, Ron, or you all
Yeah.
set? Go ahead.
Not related to that topic.
No, we
but
took care of that, it's done.
While we're talking about environmental review of properties, I was just wondering if you knew where the Mullen property was on Bay Road? Because it was gonna go through the stage 2 or something at some point, review?
Where did it, it's on the
Phase-
book where I left off on that the
phase
last
2?
time.
Mullen
We didn't.
I gotta remember now.
Good.
They have not, we need to go to the next step, which is, water samples, I think. They did the boring.
We did not include them, though, when we did this to ecosystems, it was on the 2 parcels that we moved forward with because, was it because of what the guy at the state said, or with DEC?
We were waiting on DEC to comment on that, so we gotta get back to them. Because we were waiting for their, basically their expertise to tell us how they felt we should go forward with it after the boring samples and stuff. Because there's also some problems within the building that we're trying to figure out. And the consultant, not the consultant, but the DEC was concerned about the structure of the building, trying to test some of the inside that building, drains.
Yeah, because when we used Clark Patterson Lee, they did not wanna enter the building because they felt it was unstable, I believe. So, I think that was a concern with any of the testing inside.
Yeah.
Isn't the brownfield money available now, John? Didn't they reconstitute that
They
brown?
have not set that. What they're doing is, there is a new brownfield program.
They call it something different.
It's called something different, I can't remember what it is, but they're not starting that program until everything under the old program is done. And apparently that has not been completed, because the guy from DEC told us that as soon as that was done, he would let us know so that we could make applications for the properties that we need to look at.
I think we ought to at least write them and get something in writing from them, you know,
I
where
can
we.
reach out to Russ at
Russ Hike?
DEC, Russ Hike.
Well, yeah,
and-
just write him a letter saying we want clarity in what to do, because, you know, that's another property that's been sitting there for too
All
long.
right, Leslie, can you share that with me?
Can I just correct everybody, my name is Lexi,
Lexi.
L-E-X-I-E, just so that we kinda can go by the right name,
This
but
is the first.
I'm sorry.
One reason why I didn't go forward with the minutes is, this is my first meeting with this real property stuff.
Okay.
Can you copy me on that?
I will reach out to Russ, that program, I believe, is called the ERP, which is the Environmental Restoration Program, that they had talked to us about before, and he was supposed to let me know when the governor opened that up. They had put money into it in the budget, however, they wanted all the old applications finalized before they moved forward with that money. And I think that was part of the issue with Mullins. We were going to try to do the ERP program on that. We just hadn't heard anything about that opening up yet to be able to submit applications. So I will,
Follow up on that.
yes, yep, I will do that.
EDC involved with that?
That's it?
I'm sorry?
You all set?
EDC involved with that?
No. I just wanted to touch base with you guys on one more thing that is not on my agenda, and that was
Exhale.
next month. August 29th is going to be the Real Property Committee meeting, which is actually the last chance meeting. I know, well, none of you were on the Real Property Committee. I mean, Dennis was, but none of you at the table were on it, last year. Ron, you may have attended the meeting, I don't remember, but it's usually a lengthy meeting. It's people coming to talk to you about trying to save their property and what they can do, and they're asking for your help. Please bear in mind that this year our meeting is almost a month behind. We would normally be having it at the beginning of August. This year it would have been like August 8th, I believe. But we bumped everything back this year a month. So the last chance meeting is now August 29th. At the normal time frame, that would give you people a few weeks to give people extensions to try to come up with some extra money, by usually the end of August, the first week in September. you don't have that time frame this year to really work with these people. I'm saying, and county attorney's office could correct me, but I'm thinking that it looks like the latest is really gonna be about September 9th, that you would really be able to give them extensions for, because the county attorney's office has lots of paperwork that has to be finalized to get to the courts before we take ownership. So, I just wanted to point that out to you to kind of keep that in your head when you're at the meeting, and granting extensions that you don't have a lot of time to work with this year. You know, if you give them our October 15th is our, auction date. So we take title to the properties usually the week before the auction. So sometime during that week before is when we actually take title. I'm not sure if you know the date that the petition has to be to the courts by. Right, so I'm not 100% on that either. So, you know, I know that they have to have it over there to the judge prior to us taking the title, so it doesn't give a lot of room. I know Dennis and I had spoke about this a little bit. I've spoke with Claudia a little bit about it. So I just didn't know if anybody had any questions on any of that last chance meeting.
Chairman Beardy?
Can you move the meeting up several days?
No,
You can't?
The
no,
last day to redeem is the
No.
12th of August, and we need at least a week to go
because
out.
we have to go out and post.
Post all the properties that have not paid off, which is basically by local law. So that just doesn't give us enough time to get out and post, get the information to the people, and then we get to the meeting.
And we just finalized our posting of people that did not answer the petition. And I know, talking with Brian on that, they had, 30 days usually from that posting. So it's really,
Well, my only problem is, you know, you're talking about taking people's property, and we should do everything to afford them the opportunity to.
This was raised at the last meeting, that we were bumped back.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
that we were bumped back this year and that people were gonna have to be on it. We cannot, I mean, we understand it's people's homes and we don't wanna take their homes if they can pay. But we don't have time to really give them a lot of wiggle room like we have in the past.
So
This was-
you're just gonna give them a week or 10 days time.
it would end up being, if you went out till the Friday, September 9th, it's giving them like 2 weeks extra. I mean, the last day to redeem is technically August 12th this year. Normally it's the middle of July, but, with everything being bumped back a month, it's August 12th. I mean, so they got an extra month there, you know, instead of the last day to
Okay,
redeem.
you know,
And then,
But we've always really
And
been
I-
a good county to work with people, and
and that's part of why we do this last chance meeting, is giving them that extension. And I mean, trust me, I've already been working with people on getting, reverse mortgages, and I've already got 8 people signed up for the last chance meeting. I mean, Mike and I, and I know even the county attorney's office, we do our best to go above and beyond and work with these people and make suggestions and try to help them get out there to even just contact their mortgage company and say, hey, I'm behind in my taxes, can you help me? And we've had that happen in the past, where the mortgage company has stepped up and paid the taxes so that they don't lose their home, and then they, you know, redo their mortgage for them. So, I mean, we all really try. I just wanted to point it out, is all I wanted to do, is that the time frame is much shorter this year, so that you were all aware that you know, there's time constraints.
Lexi, how many parcels do you have?
And you know, and I didn't have time this morning to go through, and we've actually really been having a lot of people come in and pay and get into installments agreements. I mean, I've been picking up, I'd say, anywhere from 5 to 10 a day coming in and paying. So there is quite a few. I can go through that, and I can send an email out to you all and let you know what's left in your towns. I did yesterday, photocopy my book, a copy of the petition that we sent out in the spring, and sent it out to one of the assessors, and that was current as of yesterday, but I can go through today and, redo it and copy it out and send it to you all, just so you know what's left in your towns.
Great.
So you have it,
Do we know, is this gonna happen again next year, Brian?
I don't expect that it will, Mr. Chairman. It was, and partly a function of the office being short-staffed and none of us having had any experience in
Okay.
in the foreclosure process before.
Good. Craig, you had a question?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what is the process then on the 29th? What does the committee do?
What we do on the 29th, we're gonna meet in the big room, and there'll be like 60 or 80 people there. And, we take them in any kind of order.
Well, usually I create a list in my office, and then that's the order. As they sign up on the list, that's the order that I call them up to the podium to be able to talk, I'm sorry.
And then they'll come up to the podium and they'll explain their issues. You know, I've been sick, I haven't been in work, and blah, blah, blah. And then what we try to do is get them to work them through the legality of it and get them to get on some kind of payment program.
Some of the people come to the meeting that day with money to pay,
Yeah.
because they've been in touch with us.
Some of them will do that as well.
We get the figures that they need to either go into an installment agreement
Okay.
or to pay off a prior agreement. So some people just need this extra time to get to the 29th to actually come up with the cash that they need to be able to come in and pay their balance or to get themselves caught up. So that's a huge part of it too, but because the 12th was the last day to redeem, they say, oh, but I'm not gonna have the money until the 26th or something, you know?
Yeah.
It'll take all morning. You're gonna be there a while.
And then the committee meets, does the committee decide at that point in time, or do you go into
No, we do it
session?
right there.
You do it right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Work out whatever we can with them, check with the attorney, make sure we're all right there, check with Mike, he's got all kinds of deadlines and issues and a lot of
Right.
it, background information on, some of them are repeat offenders, so, yeah, so you know, you struck a deal with them, some kind of time deal the year before, now the year's gone by, they're still there.
One of the things that happens at these meetings is, when you enter into an installment agreement, you can't do another one for 3 years after the date that you signed the original one. And sometimes what's happened is, somebody went to the last chance meeting in the first week in August, and is allowed to enter into an installment agreement, okay? Now, because they entered into it after the last chance meeting, they can't enter into another installment agreement until after the last day to redeem on their 3rd year. So you're gonna have some people coming to that meeting saying, okay, I couldn't enter into an installment agreement because of the timing, just because of the dates, because when I entered into it the first time, and you take 3 years from that, it falls after the last day to redeem, but before the last chance meeting, okay? So those to me are fairly simple, especially if the person has some money that they need to get into the agreement. You say, okay, you know, I fill out what you say, use the committee says, fine, you can do that. I have a little slip of paper that I fill out right there at the meeting, I hand it to the person, they take it down to my office, and they can get going.
You have all kinds of issues, sometimes they have multiple parcels, and, they can't pick and choose which ones they wanna pay off, which is a problem too, 'cause one of them's got their mother's house on it. So you're gonna go through all that, and they're expecting us, as a committee, to work with them, help them out. Some of them are sad cases. Do one of you guys have a question back there? No? Okay. Do you have anything else, Lex?
That's it, that's all I've got.
Anybody else have anything? Ron?
I just wanna go back to the environmental investigation for a little bit. It seems to me that, Lexi, that, maybe Jeff could help with this, that we should look at our specifications for work when we go out for the RFP, and if we don't already, and have the ability to, within certain parameters, you know, add additional work as the investigation unfolds, because, for example, if you get a hit, for example, is it just that spot? Has it migrated? Now, I'm not saying we get ourselves involved in $1 million investigation, some judgment will have to be utilized here, but it would seem to me that our specification should be composed that when we authorize staff to investigate a piece of property, that if they move forward and they do it correctly, without having to come back through the process, for what may end up being a nominal thing, and it's done in highway work all the time, as you know, they have unit prices. In this example, they could use, cost of materials, manpower, overhead, and profit. There's an exact formula for composing how much that additional boring would be. It's not it's part of the bid, because the environmental groups, they understand that, you know, you do 5 borings or 50. See, that's my point, is that, because otherwise what ends up happening is we have to do, we're sort of doing an evaluation of the investigation before we even go out for the RFP, and that can be difficult to do. Especially like they come in and they say, well, you know, check for lead, but, you know, the spackle needs to be checked. We're worried that there might be some asbestos in the actual spackle material in the building or something like that. Now you're stymied. It's gonna be in a report, and that's not really what you want at that point in time once you're fully mobilized and have them on site, you want them doing that. So I would just recommend to staff that they go back and just peruse those, because we're gonna be using that over and over and over again, and that we have enough flexibility in there to get the job done in one clean move.
I will take a look too, because we did put in there to have site characterization done on Warrensburg. However, we didn't move the money for that because we wanted to do this preliminary phase 2 first. So there is still site characterization that can be done on the Warrensburg, so let me see if this falls within that. And we may not, it may already be included, so we would just have to get the cost and move that money over, because I don't think we included that money when we moved
But see,
the initial money.
that just becomes a budgetary transfer at that point.
Mhm.
The
Yep.
decision to investigate the property's been made, and everyone involved in that should clearly understand that the bid is this, but should there be additional work, there could be some additional cost. And, otherwise you're stopping the contract, you're getting a report, now you have to put it back out on the street, the administrative cost of that might be greater than the cost of just doing the boring.
Yeah, but like the Warrensburg property, okay, the big thing is the floor drains. You don't know how much it's gonna cost to figure out what's going on there. I mean, you can do an estimate, and they can say, well, it may cost so dollars to dig up the floor and see what's going on, but who knows what you can find. And you're right, well, we got them there, say, okay, go the next yard, and find out where we're at.
You may not want to go, you know, at a certain point, you may not want to go deeper in without certain authorizations, but I think that's up for the county administrator to make some judgment as to, you know, what's appropriate under the circumstances.
Yeah, we won't do anything without conferring with people.
Anybody else? Good point, Ron. Being nothing else, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Ron? We're adjourned. John. Sorry. Make up for Alexi.
Black going around.